Every year, it comes along twice and splashes joy, spectacle and drama all over the country. It is the country's oldest rivalry, the two biggest teams, and although both teams have had undulating form in the last 10 years, they have still commanded that level of attention anytime the fixture comes to town. The two teams, Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. In colonial times, Hearts of Oak meant a lot to the indigenous Ga elite. It was a club formed in their identity and one that had the emblem of what it meant to be from the capital. Hearts of Oak, as their motto Never Say Die suggests, has always dwelt in the ability of not losing hope by any means in games. In those days, they were the only club. When the British used sports to unite Ghanaians, it was Hearts at the forefront. However, in 1935, Kumasi Asante Kotoko was formed, and much of what Accra Hearts of Oak was then was what Asante Kotoko became. Kotoko also took over as the primary club of the Ashantis, a club born out of the bravery and resilience of the Asante Kingdom. They made an instant impact in the country, with their popularity spreading farther and farther on the African continent. It wasn't long before the two great teams in the country developed the rivalry that will last for many years. In the 60s and 70s, Hearts and Kotoko games were at its peak. The Football League in Ghana had begun, and a renewed sense of the rivalry had been ingrained into a young fandom. Wilberforce Infum, who played in a ton of games in that era, says the games then meant more to many of them than just a football game.
Whenever Kotoko is going to play House of Folk, we take House of Folk games as do or die. And during that week, we go to training in the morning and then training in the evening. We take House of Folk match as the cup final for the league. So I expect Kotoko this Sunday to come to Accra Sports Stadium like lions or tigers. If they are able to come out so strong, so hard, they will beat us. But if they take this match as like ladies, House of Folk will kill them.
The 80s saw Asante Kotoko's glory years and a time when they dominated this fixture. Kotoko had gone on to win the CAF Champions League, had become one of the most feared teams on the continent, and were just bulldozing their way past teams in the country. With a sprightly Opoku Nti in their fold, Kumasi Asante Kotoko felt they could beat anyone, and they had a great deal of success in those years. The 90s were the renaissance years for Accra Hearts of Oak. They won league titles, smashed goal-scoring records, and were unstoppable. Much of their dynamism on the field in the 90s they carried into the 2000s, and the dominance continued. One of such performances in the early 2000s created the atmosphere that led to the May 9 disaster. The Hearts team had everything: flair, passion, brilliance, and hard men who could defend as though it was their last day on the pitch. They also had a coach who was brilliant in every sense, the late Cecil Jones Atukwe-Fio.
This will be the winner! Ismail Ado! And Kumasi Asante Kotoko in all sorts of trouble.
As much part of the rich tapestry of this fixture as the voodoo and superstition is the sort of passion that engulfs the game every year, and in the 2000s it had all of that. But how can we forget the 4-0 Accra Hearts of Oak beat Asante Kotoko in the year 2000? That scoreline remains the highest margin of victory in the history of the Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak rivalry.
Emmanuel Asakufo jamming the goalkeeper and the defender and cleverly chipping the ball into the yawning net for one of the best goals seen at the Accra Sports Stadium in recent times, and that all the goals very perfectly struck.
It is a scoreline fans of both teams fondly remember. Hearts of Oak fans often use it to taunt their arch rivals every year. In recent times though, Asante Kotoko has dominated the fixture.
This can be dangerous. It's a goal! Justice play!
Accra Hearts of Oak have still not won the league title since they did in 2009 and are still looking to get to the top again. The 2010s have been a time for the club to take a long, hard look at themselves. Kotoko, albeit not exceptional, have been better than Hearts in many ways, but the fixture has not lost any of its buzz. Every year, every season, it is a cracking one. Last season was a good example, and this season, with the two teams locked neck and neck in a title race, it will make for a tasty encounter. Sunday will be the judge.